Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aging and Spirituality, where we discuss having a much more fulfilling life after 60. I'm Chris Jensen, and
Kathy Lee Taylor. Hi, everyone.
we're so glad you're here with us today. So let me ask you this. Why do affirmations, visualizations, and prayers work for some people and not others?
That's a
Most
good
people,
question.
yep.
It's actually a very deep question people don't realize, They think this is a little deal, like, oh, I can figure this out easily. This is actually a very deep question.
It is. It's when you understand what the issues are, it's really important. Most people have heard about how powerful creative visualization can be and prayers. And if you're like most people, maybe you've gotten some mediocre results or no results, and you're wondering, why do those other people? Why is it working for
Seem
them?
to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Seem to. Yeah.
So what's the difference? So stay tuned. We're going to share at least two issues that can help keep your visualizations, affirmations, and prayers. We'll explain two issues that keep them from being successful, and we'll give you a couple of ways, some proven ways that you can be much more successful and have them work every time.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. So the first issue that causes failure in visualizations, affirmations, and prayers, and I like to include all of those things, is that you really don't believe you'll get the results you want. Now, often people think of these processes as wishing, like, okay, I'm putting a wishful thought out. That may or may not happen.
Hmm.
Hasn't happened yet, so why will it happen now? Maybe you don't think that consciously, but underneath there's that going on. I'll give you an example of my personal experience with doing it wrong and then doing it right. So I started out a number of years ago. I was going through a divorce. I had a teenage daughter. I'd been working as a consultant, so I needed to quickly shift to a full-time position. I wanted the benefits, I needed the stability, etc. So I've been a consultant for a long time. So honestly, even though I know that all the stuff we're going to share, I mean, I knew all this stuff that I'm going to share with you. I'd heard it. I won't say I knew it, I heard it.
Hmm.
But some part of me was hearing what everyone said about, oh, this is going to be very difficult. It's not going to be possible for you to move from where you are to something a lot better very quickly. And some part of me heard that and started to make it my own. Some part of me was actually not, I mean, like I was putting out my affirmations and my prayers and my visualizations, but there's some part of me that didn't really believe it because of all of this. And so after a couple of scary, frustrating months, this one friend of mine who had longtime yoga, she'd been through a similar experience. And she called me up. I wasn't even a particularly close friend of mine, but she called me up and pointed out my problem. And it was great. She gave me some tips. So I reread my yoga notes and a few books like The Law of Attraction and The Dynamics of Prosperity, Science of Mind, all of those things. And here's how I was able to create a change. Since I knew I had some doubts, I took steps like writing down and thinking like this. I've decided, and I had to be clear. That's one of the things you have to be very clear. I had been a little muddy in my affirmations and visualizations and even my prayers. I've been saying, I just want abundance. I want a great job. But I wasn't totally specific and clear, and I didn't really believe it. So after I started writing down, and what I wrote down is, I've decided that on June 19th, and I was very specific about the date, I will get a job offer for a marketing position that pays me, I don't even remember what the amount was now, but X amount of dollars, and it will be close to home because I had this teenage daughter. I didn't want to be far from home. So this alone was a major step. I could feel as I wrote this down and as I said it, I could feel something inside me starting to shift.
Yeah.
Just doing that. And then two other yoga practices I did came into play. I started to visualize. This is one we've done at our yoga center for years. I started to visualize my bank account, and I would see a direct deposit check coming in for the amount I wanted every month. And I would pay bills and see this nice balance in there and see me being very happy in this, just making it real, making it real. And then the third thing I did, which is another practice in yoga, is I started putting $1 a day in a box with the intent of donating it to a good cause with no expectation of return. Because when you give, abundance comes back.
Oh,
So those are
yeah,
the things I did.
interesting.
And on June 20th, it said June 19th. On June 20th, I got a job offer for the kind of marketing position I was looking for close to home. So, it was an interesting process because I thought I knew all this stuff. But even though, and I'm emphasizing that because I know a lot of people have heard about this stuff and they're wondering why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because some part of you is holding back. And so these things I just shared help. So I thought, Kathy, you might want to share some
Well,
of your experiences with
well,
this.
I do want to share how I feel about this, but I actually have questions for you
Hmm.
before I go into that. And that was when you were first talking about not believing. My thought in my mind was, how did you know that you had hit a place where you were having old stories or you had beliefs in there that you weren't consciously aware of? Like, how do you identify those and then ask yourself, like, do you visualize, oh, can I imagine myself having this amount of money, or can I imagine myself having a job? And then you just have this recognition of an internal resistance or an internal feeling of, no, I'm pushing this away, or no, I don't believe it because my childhood this happened, that kind of thing. How does that process work?
Well, for me, I was very lucky for this because this person pointed it out to me.
Okay.
She had been through a divorce and she called me up and she said, I heard you talking. And she said, I could hear it. I could hear it. She said, You're not being clear. She said, You're a very clear communicator. She said, But you're not
Yeah.
being clear about this because some part of you is holding back. Some part of you thinks that this is not really possible.
Hmm.
And when she first said it, it was like something inside me resonated.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, how do I get past this? What do I do? And so I started looking up all the, my notes and practices and things. And she had mentioned to me, she said, if you can just be extremely clear and specific about what you want, that will help you say it and visualize it and pray about it as if it has happened, as if it is, as if it's real.
Yeah.
And just that alone helped a lot. And as I started to do the process and I started writing, I have decided that I thought, oh yeah, getting over the hump now. I could see it. I could see it.
Mm.
I did not see it on my own. I will be very honest about that. I had not
Right.
seen it. And I felt very blessed that this person pointed it out to me. And,
Well,
and
that's typically what happens, right? A friend steps in when you're
yeah,
completely stumped, you know?
yeah.
And it's interesting because you're literally talking about a process that I've heard gazillion times, set an intention, blah, blah, blah. And I'm gonna tell you right here and right now, a lot of times this crap doesn't work for me. I'm just, and I'm not for a second saying that it doesn't work for you. It does. I know it does. I've seen you do it. And I think it probably has a lot to do with where you are on the spiritual path when you begin this kind of thing, because you're pretty clear on most things, and setting intention going through this process for you is relatively easy. But I'll tell you my experience when I would read things like The Law of Attraction or Catherine Ponder's book, which I really, really loved. I
Mhm.
love her writing. I loved her stuff. I used to dig into that stuff and thought, this is going to be so much fun. I'm going to learn how to make money. I'm going to learn how to manifest this and this and this and this. It never worked for me the way they said it was gonna. And I'll tell you why I think that is. I eventually got to a place where I realized that what I was wanting was not aligned. And so I had to give that up. And so for me, and I've said this many times and probably will continue to say, my biggest growth on the spiritual path has been surrender. So every dang visualization exercise process that I've gone through, the idea of manifesting, I struggled with for so many years thinking I was just dumb. I couldn't figure out how to put these pieces together. But for me, the bottom line was it wasn't the right route for me. I
Yeah.
had to do it totally differently. I had to say, okay, God, maybe I don't know what's best for me. Even if it means money or it means survival or whatever it is. Clearly, I'm not in charge of this process. So for so for me, I had to just literally
Mm.
throw that all of it out the window and go, okay, God, here I am. Do it. Like I am giving this all over to you. I am not going to try to intend. I'm not going to all the stuff that I learned, from Wayne Dyer in my early 20s when
Mm.
he was one of the first, I
Mm.
read freaking erroneous zones when in my early, I think it was 18 or something
Mm.
then. And none of that stuff worked for me. So the good news is when I learned to surrender and move from like struggling with visualizing with my third eye or doing all that kind of thing, when I learned to make that shift, and Chris has this naturally, she has not had to do what I have had to do in this process, which is why I was saying it. This stuff probably worked for her on a whole different level. But I had to learn first how to be in my heart. I had to learn first how to surrender. And then that relationship with spirit started to grow and develop. And I started to learn how to ask for stuff in a whole different way, and it was for all different reasons. It wasn't most of the time it was for somebody else or some other situation where I was serving or um, being of help to somebody. And it was okay and easy to just ask for my heart for help at those particular times, and it would be given. The answers would come. But that wanting for myself and trying to fix or manipulate or change the world in any way, I got my ass kicked until that just stopped happening, literally.
Yeah, well, you're taking us right to my next point.
Okay,
Right to the
yes,
next
I
point.
am.
The whole thing. That's perfect. That's a perfect segue.
You're welcome.
And by the way, one of the things is the word intention to me is one of those wishy-washy words. I know
Yep,
that, like you in the process you affirm that this has
it's
happened.
already happened.
Yeah, it's already
Yeah.
happened. But let's get to the other point because you brought up an important point. Because I said here, I want to talk about one of the most powerful and profound things we can do to bring about change in our lives and the lives of others. And this is something that yogis and metaphysicians alike say is the key to visualizations, affirmations, and prayers working. And it's going to infinite consciousness, spirit, or God first.
Mhm.
So, what does that mean? So that means that calming the mind with meditation or other practices, try to be open when you try to get calm and clear, you sit meditatively and be open to an expansion of love in the heart or a vastness up in the third eye or above the head. And if you've never meditated, you know, we're happy to share with you some basic meditation practices because whatever it takes, maybe you go sit in nature, whatever it takes to get calm and centered and clear. And once you've gotten centered, then you ask, you know, what what do you want here? You ask infinite consciousness, you ask God, whatever it is for you.
Mhm.
Then you very clearly affirm it. And
Mhm.
then at the end of what you affirm or visualize, you say, may the higher will be done. And you release it. You don't keep going over and over and over and over it a million times. You do it, you say, may the higher will be done, and you release it. That is very, very important. And if you're having trouble getting centered, try to recall the most centered, calm, clear experience you've ever had. That's what I do when I was been completely thrown out of center. And then when you get into that place, then you're in touch with infinite consciousness, and then you can ask, what do you want here? And then you can you'll affirm with real conviction. But even then, you always ask, say at the end, may the higher will be done. Because, like you said, you don't know for sure if it's just something you want or what
Mhm.
is best for you. So it's the same thing with any kind of prayer. You want to start in prayer, you start by directing your love to God. You ask for what you want in that love, and then you can direct your awareness from the heart. You know, uh, and always say, "May the higher will be done." And I will share with you a way I helped someone else with this process, and that was a person who was basically a good person, but also rude, insulting, and alienated others. And so, what I tried to do as best I could, I sensed God's love, and I asked that God's love fill that person, and that his every thought, word, and action express this love. And then then I said, "May the higher will be done," because person doesn't have to accept that. And there was a change in the person's behavior,
Mhm.
a noticeable change. I mean, I did it every day for a week, and I started to notice a change. And that's how like science of mind treatments are done. They aren't, it's not just saying, I want this. It's going to pure consciousness or God, however it is better for you to do. You go there first, and from there, then you do it. That's how the most profound way to do it.
It's a
That's what
very
you were talking about. That's what you were doing.
That's the great explanation. And the thing that sticks out to me the most about that is you think that learning this process is I'll own that. It's like the end result. Now I got this. Life is good, man. I'm
Yeah,
putting my
yeah,
foot to the floor. Guess what? It's just the beginning.
yeah.
You are just starting to have that relationship with spirit where you can begin to understand yourself on a
Hmm.
deeper, 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 deeper level. You start to understand yourself in ways that you never knew or could have even guessed at before. You start to understand what that relationship is with spirit. What is it? What does Leela mean?
Hmm.
Lila. What is it? What does it mean to walk the earth in relationship to spirit, to
Yeah.
be open, to express your own authentic self, right? So your personality, your spirit, but be connected to that source at all times. And this is the path that we're talking about. This is
Mhm.
the experience that can imbue your life with just great amounts of joy, great amounts of love, great amounts of like excitement and enthusiasm because you never know what's coming next. You
Right.
just develop this ability to love in ways that
Yeah.
that you know that other people don't even think about, but it grows and it grows and it grows, and boy, I'm getting excited, so we're on the right track. that's that's what I really wanted to say, is that's where it's moving towards, so like don't beat yourself up because you think you suck at manifesting.
No.
You're learning how to get to that place
Yeah.
where you're
Yeah.
going to grow that relationship with spirit, so just keep going.
Yeah. And that's the big key,
Yeah,
and and in Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, that was one of the things he said, people don't realize they skip the most important step.
it is a very important step. It's a critical step, and you wonder why it's always in everybody's life. We all got to struggle with freaking money. We all got to struggle with this idea of manifesting. How does this work? How does the universe work? I don't understand the rules of this gig. Like, how does this work? Well, we're telling you, this
Yeah.
is how it will
That's
work.
how it works. Yeah. Yeah.
Take steps toward God. Make that
Right.
connection, and it will be taken care of for
It
you.
will take
It,
care of, yeah.
it
And
will be
always, always say, the higher will be done
God
because
will
it
be
will
done.
be. And it may be a lot better than you think it will be.
And sometimes it comes with challenges for
Yeah.
you to grow. You might not like it. You
Yeah.
not you might not like what you're being asked to do.
Yeah.
You might be asked to do something that doesn't feel natural or that you've never done before or that
Mm.
you have to grow to get it done.
Mm.
Okay, that's the gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you put yourself in gear, right? That's where you
Yeah.
put your attention. That's where you
Yeah.
say, okay, I need to grow here, God. I don't think I got this one down. So
Right.
so
Help. Give me
that's
some
when you
help
ask
here.
for help, right?
Yep.
See how we get excited?
Yeah.
Because this path is freaking exciting.
It really is.
I
It
hope you're
is.
feeling
It
it.
is. And there's no mistakes. Everything you do is going to
Yes.
take you a step further if you are sincere. and
That's a great
and
point.
you want to do it.
A very, very great point. You will be loved through the whole process, no
Yep.
matter what. You
Yep.
can't fail at this.
Yep. So have fun with this stuff.
That was fun.
How you have fun. Obviously,
I'm also.
we've had, and I wanted to share, how I failed at it and then how I succeeded at it because, if you haven't had a good experience with this stuff, try some of the stuff we mentioned today and see what happens. See what happens.
I agree. It's good stuff, people. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.